The average length of a moderate earthquake is around 30 to 40 seconds. On January 1st, the people of Wajima, a rural town on Japan's Noto Peninsula, were ushering in the new year, when suddenly, without warning, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck beneath the town, unleashing an enduring nightmare of destruction.
I can't believe, even now, I thought I might die.
先でも道路が落ちていくような状況とかを見て、で、それで慌てて。
In the space of just 40 seconds, Wajima's 24,000 residents had their lives brutally shattered for a generation.
本当にちょっと信じられないぐらいだったんですけど、もう早く収まってくれっていう思いしかなくて。
On the surface, Japan remains one of the safest countries on earth. Stable, harmonious, and almost utopian in many respects. It's an incredible place to live. Yet underneath it all lies the uncomfortable reality that this is the most seismically active nation on the planet, with no less than 4 tectonic plates triggering devastating natural disasters, which in the last 2 decades alone have tragically taken the lives of over 20,000 people. And amidst it all lies the unsettling sense of dread that looms of a potential mega-earthquake. But what might a mega-earthquake look like if it struck the greater Tokyo area?
How prepared is the Tokyo government for the worst-case scenario?
トップクラスの防災対策をしていると思います。
From the Noto Peninsula to the world's largest city, I'm going in search of answers. From experts and government officials to heartbreaking stories from recent victims.
大好きだったところが
To keep that strong mind is very, very hard.
We'll discover the awe-inspiring technology and structures designed to protect millions of lives.
Look at it! My God!
And I put myself in the shoes of what the worst-case earthquake might actually look like.
What the
And hopefully by the end of it all, we'll know not only what to expect, but how to prepare for the day that Japan fears the most.
「その時はお正月の用意で夕食を作ってました。
We decided to go to shrine to pray.
里山街道をずっとこう走ってた、その4時過ぎの時にアラームと同時にですね。
Earthquake. Earthquake.
ガタガタってきましたよね。それでびっくりした。これはもうとんでもないことだと思いながら、とにかくもう揺れに耐えるしかない状態でした。もうこれはもう終わったなと思いました。
その夜はもう輪島の空は真っ赤で、火事が起きてるんだなっていうのは分かりました。
本当に途方に暮れるような状況でしたね。はい。
My God, this has really caught me off guard. The journey this morning from Wajima Airport into Wajima Town, just the scale of it all. Buildings, roads, homes, schools, even entire mountains toppled, destroyed in landslides. The scale of this earthquake is just absolutely horrific. It's terrifying.
So I think the most unsettling thing about Wajima is you walk down a road, it looks normal, and then all of a sudden you find this. And, you know, there's no cones around it, there's nothing protecting you from it. It's just there on the road. And it gives you a sense of the scale, right? There's so much destruction in this town that they can't stop it all. There's nothing they can do. It's just here. It's a part of their everyday life now, and it is horrific. It's hard to put into words, it really is. I really feel for the people here, I absolutely do.
At the heart of the town lies the Hakuto Brewery, one of Wajima's proudest exports across 9 generations and 300 years. Tragically, the brewery suffered extensive damage on January 1st, with half of the site now turned to rubble. I met with the owners Kiichi and Akiko Hakuto, who revealed the profound impact the Noto earthquake has had upon their lives.
もう広範囲にわたっての地震っていうのが分かったので、もうこれはもう終わったなと思いました。
まさかこんな大きい地震が来るとは思ってなかったので、本当にちょっと信じられないぐらいだったんですけど、もう早く収まってくれっていう思いしかなくて、もう ほとんどもう倒壊した家が多くて、
下に1回に逃げようということになって、2階のドアを開けたら青空が見えたんですよ。
2階の部分が1階になってましたんで、もうそこでもう本当に信じられないぐらいでしたね。
8ヶ月経って倒壊した建物がまだまだあると。でそういう中に、二次避難もせずにずっと輪島にいますので、徐々にやっぱりこうなんかダメージが来てるなというのは最近よくこう感じまして、なかなかこう前向きな発想になりにくくなってますね。正直この地を離れたら楽なんじゃないかなと思うこともあります。もう被害に遭ってもうことごとく壊れたのが辛い、離れたくないというか、もう自分のビジネスとかよりも多分そういうことの方が辛いんだと思います。
Much of the damage to local business goes deeper than the outright physical destruction of buildings. Wajima has been synonymous with artisanal craftsmanship throughout its history. Unfortunately now, amidst the loss of homes, many of the town's skilled workforce have been forced to leave for neighbouring regions, simply just to have a roof over their heads. I spoke with Junko Kirimoto, owner of Wajima Kirimoto, whose 200-year-old lacquer business is now threatened by the absence of her uniquely trained craftsmen.
We have a tea ceremonies house that work finished at December 27th. And then 4 days ago, we have an earthquake.
4 days from finish to destruction.
Yes, only 4 days.
Oh my God.
Nobody looked at that houses.
How were the first few weeks and months after the earthquake? What was life like in Wajima?
I thought it might die because no water and no electric. My friend said, please wait for 1 month. So maybe government organize everything. So please stand for 1 month. Everyone said that. But this is country. I wait for 1 month, but nothing at all. And the 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, maybe very slow compared with the city.
For me, the most powerful thing was coming here and seeing all the destroyed buildings, because I think many people believe everything is normal in Wajima now.
But this time, craftsmen lose a house and workshop too, because most of craftsmen and together workshop include the house, and many people lose both place. So it's very hard at the moment.
やっぱり輪島から出ていく方も多いです。 それで仕事が復活したとしても、そこで商売として成り立っていくことができるのかっていうところがちょっと不安要素でもあり、人口減少というのが一番怖いかなと思っております。やっぱりこの地でやっていきたい。で、やってる仕事が伝統工芸輪島塗ということで、また踏ん張ってやっていって、まずうちらがこの伝統をつなげていくっていうことをしていかならない。
Hearing that Wajima's residents still haven't been able to return over 9 months on, and in some cases may never be able to return at all, reinforces just how bleak the situation really is here. How can Wajima genuinely ever recover from this?
Not enough people know about this, myself included. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this. The most heartbreaking thing for me is this is the Asaichi morning market. This was the jewel in the crown of the town. This was the main attraction for tourists coming out here to Wajima, and now it's gone, completely gone, burnt in a fire. It really is heartbreaking.
On January 1st, Nagatake Tomizu could only look on in horror as his beloved Asaichi market went up in flames. The pride of Wajima town incinerated right before his eyes.
カーテレビの方でもうすぐ5時過ぎには輪島で火災というテロップが映りまして、次はもう本当に朝市が一体どうなっていくのかなと、時間とともにそれがどんどん延焼していく拡大していくっていうそういう映像もどんどん入ってきますから、避難するのは本当非常に大変だったということです。ただただ皆さんおふくろとかね親父たちを避難させるのに本当精一杯だったというところですかね。はい。これも本当に大変な地震も大変ですけど、今後我々朝市もこの後どういう形で出展していければいいのかなっていう本当に途方に暮れるような状況でしたね。はい。
It's going to take at least 2 to 3 years to clear this site, rebuild it, and start over. You can still smell the smoke just because there's so much ash over the former marketplace. People I knew used to talk about this place very fondly. It was pretty famous, Wajima Asaichi market, and without it, it's going to be a tough road to get tourism back to where it was. There's going to be a lot of locals here who are going to suffer economically from the damage this caused.
ただただお買い物をするだけではなくて、日々の情報の交換でありますとか、誰々がどこどこに行ってるよなんていうそういった会話も非常に明るく笑顔で会話している姿っていうのもたくさん見ましたし、ただ近年は観光の方でちょっと有名になったっていうこともありましたから、そういったことで観光の方へも力が入ったというところになりますかね。
I think with a disaster, in those early days, weeks and months, there's a lot of publicity. People learn what's going on, people express their horror, and then it dies down, and the locals, the people here are left to pick up the pieces. And what's most striking for me is that it almost looks like the earthquake happened just yesterday, just because there are so many destroyed buildings. No matter where you look, every street has at least one, often more, kind of home that's been toppled, destroyed, collapsed onto the road. And though we're surrounded by these kind of luscious green mountains, in the foreground we have these ominous blue tarpaulins draped over the roofs of so many homes, over the koala roof tiles to protect them, stop the tiles from falling off.
While the earthquake levelled buildings above ground, one of the unexpected consequences of the disaster lies beneath the ocean floor. Incredibly, the shifting of the tectonic plates led to water levels in the town actually rescinding, crippling Wajima's fishing industry and leading to hundreds of vessels effectively being landlocked for most of the year.
So during the earthquake, 90% of Ishikawa's prefecture's ports were damaged, 200 vessels lost. And this is a region that's revered for its fresh kind of local seafood, and it's been truly devastating. Incredibly, the damage wasn't just to things like seawalls, it was actually the seabed itself entirely shifted, which is why Wajima Port are now having to dredge it back to 3 metres. Incredible undertaking. It's going to take a long time to finish. But luckily this area here, after 8 long months, they've been able to dredge it, and finally the fishing boats can go in and out of the port for the first time this year. There's no doubt there's a Herculean task ahead for many of the ports around this area. You know, it's quite the journey to get things back on track to where they once were.
船が出れない状態になりました。それでやっぱり漁師さんも漁ができないということで、皆さん震災の仕分けですとかゴミの収集とか、漁師さんはそういう仕事で今生計を少しの収入なんですけど、それで仕事をしてますね。漁業が再開しないと、朝市にしたってやっぱり魚売ったりしたり、地元の魚でね宿泊施設もそこで飲食させたりするんで、ただそれでも本格的に震災前みたいに、まともな漁ができるかというと多分難しいと思います。
Seeing the aftermath of the January 1st Noto earthquake with my own eyes has been nothing short of shocking. As I head back to Tokyo, I can't shake a feeling of guilt as I return to normality while the people of Wajima are forced to endure their new unthinkable reality. Nobody in Noto could have predicted that this would happen. The earthquake came out of nowhere and changed their lives in an instant for years to come. For the locals, this is simply their new normal. And it begs the horrifying question, could this happen in Tokyo? This year more than others, it's felt like a frightening possibility. On August 8th, the Japan Meteorological Agency issued their first ever Nankai Trough mega earthquake advisory, sparking newfound fears that the big one might be closer than we'd care to think.
Over 37 million people live in the Tokyo metropolitan area, and this year it's forecast that over 35 million overseas tourists are going to visit Japan. It begs the question, amidst a large-scale natural disaster like an earthquake, the strain on electricity, food, water supplies, how prepared is the Tokyo government for the worst-case scenario?
History paints an unsettling image here, as Tokyo is certainly no stranger to large-scale earthquakes.
So this very impressive building is the Tokyo Memorial Hall, built in 1930 to commemorate the 1923 earthquake that struck Tokyo. It's a very impressive building, but also quite moving. The paintings on the wall depict just the most horrific scenes that unfolded over the course of the days after the earthquake. We forget that what happens after an earthquake that wreaks the most devastation. In the case of Tohoku in 2011, it was a tsunami that took the lives of most of the victims along the coastline. Here in Tokyo, 1923, it was the firestorms that struck the city, particularly here on the east side.
This neighbourhood was filled with lots of small wooden houses in which many people were cooking at the time, which created a fire that was unstoppable.
The wooden buildings fueled it, and the weather fueled it as well, and this whole area became one big tornado of fire. Such was the pressure and the heat and the temperature. It must have been absolutely hellish. Unfortunately, thousands of people were sent to this site by officials who believed that it would be safe, and it was far from it.
But how likely is it that an earthquake of this magnitude could ever hit Tokyo? I meet with one of Japan's leading seismologists, Kenji Satake, Professor Emeritus at Tokyo University, to shed some light on the worst-case scenario.
A magnitude 7 earthquake that happened just beneath Tokyo, that probability is considered as high, like 70% in the next 30 years. In 1923, we had many wooden houses that is more vulnerable for the fire, collapse and fire. Fire is most dangerous in terms of the casualty or damage. In Metropolitan Tokyo, compared to 1923, we have more modern houses that is more resistant for the fire, and the buildings have strength, so the estimated damage is decreasing in Tokyo.
But how does one even prepare for a large-scale earthquake? Over in the Ikebukuro Life Safety Learning Centre, a facility that provides frighteningly realistic simulations of earthquakes and fires, it's time to experience firsthand just how bad things can really get.
So I'm currently standing on the most advanced earthquake simulator in all of Tokyo, and it can do multiple scenarios, the most powerful of which is the Tohoku 2011 earthquake and tsunami. We're about to try it right here. Not looking forward to it. The most powerful I've ever experienced was the 7.4 magnitude earthquake in Sendai back in 2022. And that put the fear of God into me. I genuinely thought my apartment block was coming down. The idea that there's something more powerful than that is inconceivable to me, but yeah, let's get this underway. And the moment the earthquake hits, I have to get under the table. I have to stop standing because otherwise I'll get thrown off this platform. Okay, here we go.
緊急地震速報です。強い揺れに警戒してください。緊急地震速報です。強い揺れに警戒してください。
What the fuck? This is insane. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god. That was seriously screwed up. Man, it wasn't just the intensity, it was the length of it. It just kept on going. That brought back a lot of bad memories from 2 years ago. I remember talking to Natsuki after the 2011 earthquake, and he said, I thought I was done. I thought it was over. Now we know why. God, he experienced that.
But as we've seen, violent shaking is only one aspect of a major earthquake. In urban areas like Tokyo, it's the ensuing fires that pose the greatest risk of all. And so it's time to reluctantly enter the facility's fire simulator to understand the grim reality of being trapped inside a burning building.
If the door's hot, don't open it. It means there's a lot of smoke behind it. But there's also smoke behind this one. Where is that? That's like the gateway to hell in here. No way. Oh man, this is an absolutely worst nightmare. Which way? Which way? Not fun. Not fun at all. Oh my god, that was extremely unpleasant. My god, right? I know it's not real smoke, but when it gets in your eyes, your lungs, your mouth, it tastes awful. It feels really unpleasant to breathe. Yeah, my heart rate really got up in there. Something about the visibility. I mean, I put my hand here, couldn't see that far. I was slipping on the floor. It was kind of hot in there. Keep the temperature up to make it kind of simulate a real fire. If that was real smoke though, I honestly don't know how you'd get through that in one piece, because that would be formidable. But yeah, I need to get out. I need to get some fresh air. That was really messed up.
This is Sona Area Tokyo, a deliberately shocking, immersive experience designed to prepare Tokyo residents for the first unimaginable 72 hours after a major earthquake. It's a harsh reality check to visitors, the vast majority of whom will have never witnessed such destruction firsthand. With 23 wards and millions of residents at risk, it's difficult to comprehend just how Tokyo's emergency services would react to such widespread chaos. Not only is the Sona area an educational facility, but the day a devastating natural disaster arrives, it will become the unsuspecting operational hub for the entire city.
The scale of this place is incredible. Behind me there's no less than 7 helicopter pads, like an international airport. And that's because in the worst case scenario, supplies, self-defense force troops, government officials will all be flown in here to manage the situation from this point, from this facility. And that's because while it's still in the middle of Tokyo here, we are out of the most densely populated area, so it is a bit more safe, it's a bit more secure here. Meanwhile, the grounds are designed so that tents can be erected, people brought in to manage the situation, and on the inside there's a very impressive operations room where officials can gather around to manage the situation. You may have even seen it in the movie Shin Godzilla, when folks are trying to work out how to stop a 100-meter rampaging monster. Yeah, it's a surreal thought that this relatively peaceful education centre in the worst case scenario will be the focal point, the place where decisions are made affecting the lives of over 36 million people in the Tokyo metropolitan area, right here beneath my feet.
No matter how prepared the city is, an unfortunate inevitability is that many will simply not be able to return to their homes. In this scenario, school gyms, community centres and stadiums are activated across the city, becoming makeshift shelters for thousands of Tokyo residents.
So this is a cardboard shelter, an all too familiar sight in places like Fukushima 2011 or Noto earlier this year. People are evacuated to shelters in community centres and schools, and this is their home for days, in some cases weeks. This is the sort of environment that they're evacuated to. What a lot of people don't think about is the lack of water, electricity after an earthquake. My good friend Ryotaro in Sendai, after 2011, they had no running water for 2 weeks. They were reliant on water trucks.
In Fukushima, there were 2,300 indirect deaths as a result of people kind of being forced out of their homes.
Psychological distress of being forced to live somewhere like this can't be underestimated. It's a tough situation.
So this rather heavy bag is a disaster preparedness kit. This was the most popular one that I could find online, and it cost about 10,000 yen, the equivalent of $65. I got this one for the studio, but if you're living in Japan, you should get one for your home. You never know when you might need it. But let's take a look inside and see what essential items you can get for 10,000 yen. A solar crank radio, wet wipes, dental kit, batteries, box cutter knife, mask, 2 bottles of water, biscuits, portable toilet, bandages and plasters. Oh wow. More tissues, blinds for sleeping, blow up pillow, slippers, earplugs, gloves, pen, an emergency blanket, notepad to go with the pen, waterproof phone case, portable compressed towel, raincoat, screwdriver, a whistle, and a pouch to keep fluids in. And that's everything. Genuinely a pretty amazing kit, how much they were able to fit inside that one rucksack. For 12,000 yen, it's pretty good value for money, everything that you get inside it. And what I will say is there's definitely a focus on kind of warmth, hygiene, the idea of having no power. For example, there's not much in the way of food. These are the only food items, these biscuits here, which perish in the year 2029. I'm sure many of you are aware of this. This is a portable toilet. Essentially, it's a bag that fits underneath the toilet seat. When I was in Wajima, I asked the people there, what was one of the worst aspects of it? And it was the fact they couldn't even use their toilets in their own home, already making a terrible situation even worse. And the crank radio is a really good idea, having this, because there was no phone signal in the 2011 earthquake. People just didn't know what was going on after the kind of tsunami and after the earthquake up in Sendai. So having a crank radio means you can stay connected and actually kind of get an update on the situation. But I genuinely believe some of the things here are the difference between life and death. The water, the heat blankets, particularly in winter. This is honestly 12,000 yen well spent. If you're in Japan, if you're living here, get yourself one of these. You won't regret it. So right now we're 266 metres above Tokyo, and I won't lie, if there was an earthquake right now, I would be a little bit scared because the building would sway from side to side. One of the most enduring images of the 2011 earthquake and disaster here in Tokyo was that sight of skyscrapers in Shinjuku swaying up to several metres, rather ominously. And yet despite that, the buildings remained intact. There was no structural damage, kind of a testament to Japan's architectural ingenuity. But Tokyo's infrastructure isn't just designed to deal with earthquakes and fires. Perhaps the most impressive megastructure of all lies deep underground at the northern edge of the city, and it's designed to deal with flooding. GCANS, a project so large it took 15 years and $2.6 billion to build. Is this real? Am I dreaming? What the hell is this place? This is insane. I almost feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings, about to have a confrontation with the old Balrog down here. But rather than being a former mining colony run by dwarves, this place is GCANS, an awe-inspiring structure deep beneath the Greater Tokyo area, and it is colossal in size and scale. Words don't do it justice. Look at it, my God. This room known as the Temple, can hold 67,000 cubic meters of water. And they call it the Temple because it does kind of look like the inside of a cathedral, right? These 59 kind of towering pillars, each one 500 tons, 18 meters tall. But yeah, this is one of the largest underground flood control systems on the planet, and I wouldn't want to be in here when all that water is unleashed. Oh my God.
While it's clear Tokyo is prepared extensively for earthquakes, I still can't help but feel uneasy given the sheer unpredictability that unfolds amidst the backdrop of a natural disaster. The Cabinet Office estimates that over 175,000 buildings would be destroyed, and the death toll could go up to 11,000 people if a large-scale earthquake were to hit the Tokyo metropolitan area. Meanwhile, Mount Fuji, which has remained dormant for over 300 years, lies along the Nankai Trough, and ominously, an earthquake threatens to trigger an actual eruption.
Eruption of Mount Fuji may be related to the earthquake in Nankai Trough. As a matter of fact, we have in 1707 earthquake happened, then several months later Mount Fuji erupted. That's where both related to the subduction of the Philippine Sea plate. Prediction of the volcanic eruption is more difficult, particularly like Mount Fuji. The interval is more irregular and long. However, for the unlike earthquakes, volcanic eruption has some precursors. Along the Nankai Trough, the government says that the chance of the next earthquake in the next 30 years is 70 to 80%. Nankai Trough earthquake caused both ground shaking damage and also tsunami damage.
The damage from Mount Fuji's wrath alone is borderline apocalyptic, with Shinjuku Ward being potentially buried in up to 10 centimeters of ash in the 15 days following an eruption. Even in an optimistic scenario, the ash threatens to paralyze transportation networks, short electricity cables, and lead to widespread power outages. Simply put, a domino effect of nightmarish consequences would follow any major earthquake in ways that are almost too challenging to predict. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government has the unenviable task of staying one step ahead amidst natural disasters, with Yuriko Koike, the governor of Tokyo, tasked with overseeing the safety of residents in the world's largest city.
Thank you so much for meeting me today.
My pleasure.
I understand many of your policies for this term are about protecting and preparing people in Tokyo for kind of natural disasters and precarious situations. And so I'd like to expand upon that today in this interview.
日本を訪れる皆さん、ぜひ安心して訪問していただきたいと思います。いろんな地震への備えっていうのは十分できています。耐震化、それから燃えない不燃化などの対策を徹底して、さまざまな洪水対策もグレードを上げていかないといけない。だけどみんな守っていくということが必要です。
What are your thoughts on the Japanese mindset in the face of natural disasters and sort of resilience?
日本人は非常に助け合いの精神が普段からあります。そうですね、東日本の大震災の時にも避難所でみんな持っている食品を出し合って自分だけ助かるっていうんじゃなくてみんなで苦しい時は助け合うというそういったことが海外にも伝わってよかったな。
After living in Japan for as long as I have, I've seen for myself how Japanese people care for each other and their communities. Maybe it's the spirit of selflessness or the culture of acceptance that makes this country so resilient in the face of natural disasters.
歴史ある朝市ですから前通りできたらいいなと思ってます。はい。
早く朝市の方復活して復興してもらいたいです。
私どもの最終的な目標はこの本町通り朝市通りでまた新たな気持ちでその朝市の復活っていうのを願って今日日々頑張らせていただいているというのが私の組合長としての立場でありますので、そういうふうにして日々頑張っていきたいなというふうに思ってますけど。
ボランティアの方々と出会い、また人を助けるという意識が変わってきたかなと。自分でもアクションを起こしつつ、また前に進んでいこうと今決意しているような状況です。
こういう大きい地震があって被害はありましたけど、皆さんに、ね、美味しいお酒をお届けできるようにすることがスタートかなと思っています。
We continue to have a strong mind and then back to the work. We think just never give up. To continue is very important, I think.
Coming away from this documentary, I really do have kind of mixed feelings. I kind of walk away from this feeling reassured that Tokyo is very safe, that there are some incredible safeguards in place to protect the citizens here. Especially chatting with Kenji Satake, the seismologist, kind of put my fears at ease. And yet on the other hand, going to Wajima, going to Noto, nobody who joined me on the shoot there expected what we found. A place that we described as looking like the earthquake had happened yesterday. Like we saw from the people there that we interviewed and we spoke to in the market, that there's that kind of stoic, strong Japanese spirit we normally see, but underneath it all, like the people really are struggling. You know, chatting with Akiko Hakuto at the sake brewery, you know, she didn't hold back. Tragically, in the time that we've been filming this documentary, Wajima's been hit again, this time with floods and a mudslide. But I really hope the Japanese government give the people there all the support they need, because Lord knows they need it now more than ever. It was a privilege to go to Wajima. I know I'll be back soon, and I hope the months ahead are a lot kinder to the people there than this year has been so far.